Hello everyone and welcome to this brief video. Earlier in the day, I made some changes that I've been thinking about for a little while. A lot of it stems from Patreon, where I have a couple of different supporters that will cycle out every now and then due to financial constraints, which is totally fine. I never expect anything particularly large when it comes to my Patreon, and that's what it is. But what I have found after doing about a year and a half worth of Patreon content between writing and video gaming content, I have determined that even though I had two different tracks, whether that was you were following the writing track or the gaming track, that you would receive both content pieces through Discord. And that way, in Discord, you could click on the playlist and you would have access to all of those videos if you were subscribed to Patreon and you had the role for it in Discord. That way, even if you were subscribed to the writing tier, you would still be able to watch the gaming news content that I put up behind the paywall at least for a while, or at least get early access, if you will, to that content. And I felt that it might have been confusing that even though I had access to both tiers, it relied heavily upon whether or not you had access to Discord and whether or not you were even interested in both bits of content because of how I had it separated. So, in order to alleviate some of my issues, what I did was created one tier, rather modified one tier level for writing, one tier level for gaming, and then I have one tier that is the all-in-one, that instead of the previous two that are $5 each Canadian, or at least that I have listed as Canadian, it would be $10 for the all-in-one if you choose to do that. So there are just three possibilities there. If you want both amounts of content, then you just have to subscribe to the one tier and you would have access to it. If, however, you only wanted to see videos for writing or for video gaming, then you would then subscribe to the appropriate tier and you would get all of the content. The fourth tier that I have is the Writer All Access, which will allow people to send me short works or maybe work with me. Maybe they've got a character idea or a story idea that they're just not quite sure if it's working and they want to speak with me about it and get an opinion or thought process or maybe some inspiration, motivation to get something moving, that you would have access at a slightly higher payment point or price point, which is at $20. And in doing that, it meant that a lot of the videos that I have released previously in the gaming and writing tiers ended up getting shuffled between certain playlists that I just completely messed up on the back end. And what I did was I moved all of the videos into their appropriate playlists so that it would be less confusing. And then I made the majority of the gaming news videos public, and the writing ones are still behind the paywall because a lot of those are my novel progress, and in order to at least keep some of that in terms of copyright, I have decided to keep it behind the paywall so that nobody just randomly on the internet can go and grab entire swaths of my novel and put it out there. So it is something that I offer to Patreons or people who are writers who want to work with me on it, or, publishers that I might send it out to later, editors, that kind of thing. That will always remain behind the paywall and remain as not visible to the public. But the majority of the gaming news ones, because they're all technically archived news pieces, are now available for public viewing, because I've set them up that way, which means that many of you who are following my YouTube channel have received a crap ton of notifications. And it's purely because I haven't been keeping up with making them public after the video has been out for at least a week, so that you're only a week behind in terms of gaming news by the time it goes to public viewing. And many of those videos were still listed as private or unlisted, where you could not see them. But now I know that a lot of you received a lot of notifications, because some of my subscribers reached out to me and said, "Did you just publish everything?" And I'm like, well, yes, kind of, but it was mostly because I changed how I did things on Patreon to make my life a little bit easier. I don't have to have 3 or 4 tiers that I am clicking on to provide that content, that I just have one place or 1 or 2 clicks instead of many more clicks. So I apologize that some of you had a whole metric ton of notifications go through. A lot of those are older videos. I do include the date on the gaming news video, so you can see when those things occurred. You can see in the details what articles I am referring to and showing on screen in those videos. But I just wanted to let you know and apologize if you got inundated with notifications. My intent was not to drive all of you crazy. It was just to fix some stuff up on the back end. And I didn't think that it was going to be a problem when I first did it, so I apologize. And with that, if you're not part of Patreon, it is patreon.com/Jagtress. You can find my content there. Nothing is super expensive. If you have questions, thoughts, concerns, you can reach out to me on Twitter. You can join Discord, etc. And with that, thank you so much for being subscribed to YouTube, and I will see you next time. Have a great day, have a great weekend, and be safe. Goodbye.